Let's go out to Philadelphia and speak with John. John, thanks for calling. Thanks for holding. How are you doing today?
Steve. I'm doing very well. Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Summertime.
Steve,
like
I wanted to ask
like
you.
Philadelphia?
You do such thorough work on giving higher projections for the indices. Wanted to focus in, if you could, please, on the Dow. And we know the Dow is lagging. The Nasdaq names are leading. You know, the new economy leading the way higher. And we also know that the Dow Jones pullback into those March-April lows held support nicely, but the Dow really hasn't gotten going yet. And I'm wondering if the Dow is destined to surge higher and significantly higher. I'm wondering if you've gone through the exercise and looked at the individual Dow names. And as you and I both know, there's only 10 or 12 Dow names that really drove the Dow the past couple of years anyway, you know, the likes of Boeing, 3M, Goldman Sachs, on and on. I'm wondering if you've gone through the exercise of looking at those high-priced names and convinced yourself that either those individual chart names are in position or are not in the position to drive the Dow dramatically higher. Have you gone through that exercise at all?
I have not, and thank you for even bringing that fact up because it's so important. And the reason why I say that is yesterday I was considering for newsletter subscribers taking a trade in the mining sector. And so I sent out my newsletter and I said, but before we do that, I'm going to go look at each individual name, in essence, that makes up the GDX. Now, there's a few international symbols inside the GDX that I don't have the access to. So I had to skip over there in order to get a feel for what's going on. And then, of course, just like you really mentioned out there, in the GDX case, the top 5 stocks are like 40%. And inside the Dow, I'm not sure what the top 10 stocks represent, but it's probably like 40 or 50%. I have not done that work, but it is worth doing. I think now the weighting that I have here is probably off just a tad. The top 5 I have are Boeing, Goldman Sachs, 3M, United Healthcare, and Apple. And then the next 5 are Home Depot, McDonald's, IBM, Caterpillar, and Travelers. Now, some may have shifted here because I don't know when I last updated this. I'm going to guess it was within the last month for sure. I just don't know if things have shifted. If they have, it's really not by that much. Boeing, being the top weighted index out here, made a high with 5 million shares, and that was tested with 6.7 million shares. Even though price is back underneath it, it's trying to push into that level with some volume behind it. On a weekly basis, we're still inside that swing point. That's a key level. That key swing point, which was February 26, had 33 million shares, and last week you were in with 23 million shares. So light. It's why price is trading below its weekly profile level out here. So I don't see this as a failure because you're still trading inside the weekly swing point. And just out of curiosity, no idea what it did on a monthly basis, but we'll find out. That monthly swing had 116 million, and last month it was 85 million shares. So it's lost a little bit of enthusiasm. It's got support at 317. It's got resistance at 356. That's what I see, when taking a look at the Dow equity positions. We won't do that during this entire segment here. Let me ask you the question, have you done that as well? And if so, what are your findings at this stage? What's your analysis if you've done some of that work?
You and I have spoken in the past about Marty Armstrong's yearly reversals for the Dow Jones, and the yearly reversal numbers that he's had in print for just years was 18,350, then 23,000, then 40,000.
Yes.
And when we got over 18,350, it was tough to open your mind up to the possibility that you'd blow up to 23,000 or higher. But of course we did. And then, we can go through the exercise. There were 12 names that accounted for more than 80% of the Dow point move.
Sure.
Up to that January high. And if we're going to go dramatically higher from here still and fulfill Armstrong's, somewhere in time reach those higher reversal marks, it's got to happen, or it's got to occur with, some big names having big runs. And as I look at the individual names, I'm, I didn't do it in any detail, but I looked at
Sure.
the top 12 highest price names, and I can't open my mind up to envision, a blast-off move again. And hence my question to you.
No,
so I went through the exercise and was unable, is the bottom line.
And so good point. One of the other things Marty would be taking a look at and would be concerned right now at 1:30 in the afternoon would be the mere fact that the Dow is trading at 24,655 and means it's also trading below the December 30th close. And it's really that it just talks about the consolidation that is still going on inside of the Dow. And the Dow, we kind of use the Dow as kind of like the trophy out there, where the big money, the big dollars typically are moving into it. They're not moving into the Dow, but they certainly have the big money, the big capital flows have absolutely moved over into the Russell 2000. I mean, it is broken out in every major currency. And so when I think about that, so even though I didn't do the work, but in thinking about this for myself and subscribers, I'm saying to myself, okay, this is where money's flowing. It's a pretty good indication of the health of the market, at least, to me, because you've got, instead of we're just looking at 30 stocks, you've got 2,000 stocks out there. So we have money flowing there. We have money flowing into the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ today, has just simply evaporated the island top that was out there in the NDX 100, the NASDAQ composite, by trading into it. And I always like to, say there's nothing more bullish than a failed bearish pattern. And that's what we have as we speak right now. So I'll do some of that work over the weekend. And, if you can call back in next week, Monday, Tuesday, or what have you, or I'll just cover it Monday or Tuesday after I've done that work and to see if I've been able to identify anything. I think that the most important thing that I've identified with regard to the Dow is that when I take a look at how it's trading in all major currencies, the money is not flowing into the Dow. I don't know what that means because just simply money is flowing into other areas out here.
Steve, thanks so much for those thoughts. I want to leave and thank you with one parting question. Actually, it's a request, and that is the NASDAQ Composite and the NASDAQ 100 are both within 1% of the March 13th highs. And with the oomph that we've had today, I'm just going to assume myself that we're going to get up there and hit those numbers again. So time will tell, of course.
I'll touch on that when we come back
to the please.
We're going to hard break. Just hold on, and I'll grab your question. Welcome back, folks. So, John, if you're still on the line, you were discussing the NDX 100, and we got cut off by the break. But please tell me how I can help you.
Yes, thank you very much. My request to you personally is this. Assuming the NASDAQ 100 and the composite reach higher highs in the coming weeks, if you would share with us, your audience, your interpretation of the price relative strength divergence that we'll likely see, assuming that occurs.
Got it.
Be very, very interested in having you share with us in real time your observation about that feature and what the implication might be, at least as you see it. So that's my request, and I thank you in advance.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm going to first go to another caller out there. We've got two on the line, but I will get to that and answer that question. So good question. Thanks for asking, and we will review that.